Hello, Just Jax here and welcome to my channel. Today we are playing with a kid's anatomical skeleton. Now he's been on a little journey already. He didn't start out life like this. I hopefully, through the power of editing, will be able to show you he went from this. First popping him together was not easy, to say it was a kid's toy. Ages 8 and up. To this, where I repositioned him, carved the sockets out of his eyes to pop some googly ones in there, to where he is right now, where I stuck him on a base so he can become a bit of a scene piece. And I've added some silk clay guts spilling out, coming from his intestines there. I will be adding a few more. But before I did any more to him, I wanted to start to get a base put together, because I need his guts spilling onto the base. So I needed the ground worked out before we started plopping things on top of it. Now, lucky for me, I have quite a selection from my Warhammer 40k days, where I got really invested in doing detailed bases and making bits of scenery. So I've got all these fun things to play with. So what I started out with was a little colour palette, because I wanted the ground to be quite muddy. There's going to be a little bit of turf here and there, so this is this lovely grass stuff which I've used in the past. And some other bits which may or may not get used, we'll see. So he's at the stage where I was unsure whether I was going to leave the sides there, but I think I'm going to bring them round, so I'm going to get that done today, as well as going a little bit heavier on the dirt base. And what I will do when it's completely done base wise is I'm going to drop bloblets of gloss in certain parts where I want it to look extra muddy and boggy. So that being said, let's get these edges done. And when these edges are done completely, or when his base is done completely, I'll dust him off, because he's a bit muddy in places. So we're going to bring this round. Because I've decided I don't want the wood to be seen. And that's also why I've got those there, so I can have him raised. Now I'll probably have to do this in stages, because I'm not going to be able to get all the way around in a oneer without mushing up the base with my fingers. But we're going to go as far as we can, which is going to be over 3/4 of the way. It'll just be pretty much where I'm holding now. What I probably should have done was poured a load of this out ready. But as usual, I get a little bit eager to start. Unsure editing wise whether this I'm going to edit into just one video or to two. In case I do two, I'm going to continue waffling on and chat about my 40k days. I was a Demons of Slaanesh gal. I still am. I mean, Demons full stop. They did spread into Nurgle a bit as well, because I did have a fondness for the fun that you could have with Nurglings. But I absolutely loved Slaanesh. And then when I got into 30k as well with the Horus Heresy, of course I had to go with the Emperor's Children and Fulgrim. And I had so much fun building up an army. But like I say, I then, through playing with those so much, I got really invested in making scenery and sorting the bases out. That's how I built up quite a collection of scenery pieces. this is all we're going to do for now. I'm just going to give him a little wiggle around for it to fall into bits that it hasn't been sprinkled onto. And we're just going to leave that to dry. Okay, we are back, and the base is pretty much finished at the moment. I get this up to show you. This is where we're at with the base. Looks pretty good. Now I say at the moment because we have yet to add some intestines spilling onto the bottom here, and we have some various washes and glazes and special paint to add to the bottom, as well as him. So let's make some more innards fallen on the floor there. All I did to make those was simply roll sausages out and then groove them with my thumbnail like that. Though I've since cut my nail, so it's going to be a little bit trickier. Then I'm going to work out where to position these. I need them to be spilling out. Right, now we know we're going to want this to be coming out where his hand is, and we want it to pool down there. We don't mind this stuff stringing about a bit because it's going to add, from the Spider Queen days, it's going to add the effect of everything being a bit mucusy and a bit slimy. So we're going to jam that in there. It come down in there. It's sort of piling itself up where that glue is. So let's get in there behind him, which is a rather snug place to reach. We can reach. And we can use, I come over here, got some bamboo kebab skewers. They're going to help me poke it up where I want it. Not up his bottom. Now, that's going to need to dry before we do anything else bodily wise, but what we can do is get some of this to blob onto the terrain. Now this is the Amazonian camo shade, and we want it to just seep around, add a bit of colour and wet effect to some of this terrain. So we want it to be nice and boggy. So that's where he'd have sunk into the ground a little bit as he's crawling across. I'm also going to put a little bit of Weight Watchers green glaze. And this is just a tiny splash of the fun that you can have when you're making scenery, who is about to get fleshed up. Now this is going to be messy. I've got a few containers of things here ready. So I've got some PVA glue, water and acrylic paint mix there. And some tissue. That's going to be skin at the very end. I have some corn flour, PVA glue and Elmer's glow in the dark glue there, ready to mix up. I thought I'd save that for on camera because it's going to be messy and fun. And a little excess corn flour in case we need more in there. And some red acrylic because we want to make this quite gory. So let's get mixing this up first. We want it quite thick. I might need to add a bit more glue, we'll see. So I think what we'll do is we'll add a bit of acrylic first to get that colour. Now, I don't mind it being a little off, that's why I put the Elmer's glue in as well. So we're definitely going to want that thicker than that. And I'm desperate to put my hands in there, but I can't right now. So let's put a bit more of this in. So we want it quite thick. Then we're going to look at being really brave, because I love the way he looks right now. But that isn't the finished idea that I had in mind, so we're just going to be brave, be bold, be brave. Oh, I just absolutely love the way this looks. That's where I got stuck last time for a while. I kept just playing with it. So we'll put a little bit more corn flour in there, thicken it up a bit more again. We're just going to mix a little bit more to make sure we've got as much of that corn flour mixed in as possible so there's no powdery bits. I just want you to all see this up close. Look at that. That is so satisfying. I desperately want to get my hands in there, and I will. We're going to start here and smear it down his back. So I'm not going to put it everywhere. I want people to be able to see what's going on underneath as well. So this, I've got to not get carried away and not put it everywhere. I've got to really just let it run in places. So we want it to look like his flesh and his muscle and everything else falling off of him. Getting dragged along the ground as he's leaving bits of himself behind where he once was whole. Let's put that aside. I'll show you where we're at right now. This is where we're at now. I think when we add the next bit, which we're going to add now as well, whilst everything's wet, is going to be the skin. That's where that mix there is going to come in. And that. So let's bring this one over here. And this is going to get really messy. Now we're just going to do little bits and just pull it over. In my mind, this is going to work. Will it? Let's find out. We don't want big bits. We want little bits. Like this. Rough it up a little bit as well in a moment because we want it to have a bit of a hang to it. This is starting to have the effect that I had in mind. I guess we'll really see if it's done exactly what I want it to when it's dry. I'll add a tiny bit more to the face. I want to get some on the face, but I don't want to lose the detail in the face. Yeah, I think we're going to stop there. I will take these off and show you where we're at, and then clear up and play with the slime. Because I don't have any other use for it right now. This is where we're at right now. So there is a little bit more work to be done. There is some more paint to be added. At the moment, it looks like he's just got bandages falling off him, so we're going to make that look a little bit more like skin that has had something bad happen to it. Just turn him around. So that's where the art of the paint will come in. Bring it all together. Oh, he looks so cool. He looks so cool. I can't wait for him to be finished. This is where he's at right now. So we remodelled him, gouged his sockets out so we could put some eyeballs in there, sorted him a base out, add a little gore here or there. Oh, he's out of focus and wibbled. Add a sort of muscle type material out of slime and some paper mache tinted for a sort of flesh. So what we're going to do now is all the finishing touches. We're going to give him some various washes to pick out some detail so he's not just some pink blobby bits. The flesh isn't too bad, to be fair to it, but again, this will add some nice finishing touches. So I think first off we're going to see what washes we've got left, because I need to get some more of these. They are brilliant, and possibly make one up. So I think to begin with, we'll see how this looks. So I think it's going to be Nuln Oil overall in the end. That's just the black one. Let's have a look. So we want that really pinky what's the muscle sort of mass and whatever. We want that brought down a notch or two because it's a bit too pinky compared to the rest of him. We just want this to be a real subtle wash. We don't want it to be just to bring up a bit of detail. So it's already in wash consistency, but I'm adding quite a bit of water. So I don't want it too dark. I think this one's near done, so we're going to swap. This one is Reikland Flesh Shade. be Seraphim Sepia next. You need to be reordered. Seraphim Sepia. So these two are very similar. Now we're going to be brave. We're going to make the Nuln Oil really, really watery. You notice you can be really loose when you're doing this. Whilst that is still wet, I'm going to be looking at bringing in a little bit of the Bloodletter Glaze to merge with the murk. Again, we're just going to be putting this. Again, not thinking about it too much, just putting it around. I think that'll do for this. We're going to go and get blood for the blood god. And a little bit of that. And we're going to let him dry and see if we're happy with him. So we just want a little bit of this because this is really bold stuff. So this is better. This is a kind of less is more element. We're going to be a bit more selective with where we put it. Yeah, I think we're there. I'm going to let him dry. And when we come back, we'll decide if he's done or not. This is how he's looking right now. He's looking a lot more like we want him. Now obviously when it'll dry it'll be a little less shiny in places, but the red gore, the blood for the blood god, that will remain quite shiny. Might actually just put a little bit in that piece that's hanging from his head. Let's just get that bit. That bit right up in there. Then we'll just dot the rest around. So yeah, I think we'll let him dry. And see how he is when he's dry. See if we're happy with him. Okay, Mr. Skeleton, Mr. Tortured Skeleton. He's finally done. Who'd have thought that would have come from a kid's anatomy toy? I think he's really rather cool. Let me get the camera up on the phone to show you all. Look at him. His one eye's gone a little amiss. Oh no, it's just heavy reflection of light. But it makes him look like his one eye's gone a bit wonk. But that does work in his favour. He has a little tongue in his mouth. There's the beautiful, beautiful base. And derriere, where bits of him have been left trailing behind, random skin flap. Yeah, he looks really cool. Giving him a finish varnish was a good idea in the end, because he's not left too shiny on the skin, but he's very shiny everywhere else, which is what we want, really. Yeah, he even looks like where it's dibbled a little bit, like he's still got some little roots of hair left. Yeah, he looks really cool. Really grim, but really cool. So, yeah, that is us done with this project. I don't really know what to say about him. I mean, he sort of speaks for himself. I like the way he's come out. I do like, as you may have noticed, I'm not so much on the cutesy aspect. I do like the odd aspects of creating. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's given you some ideas of things you can do. Have a look down at the kids' aisle, have a look at the toys, see if there's anything that you can come up with. You'll be surprised. He was like a $4.99 kids' toy, and with bits I had laying around the house, technically, like toilet roll. Yeah, I had silk clay, but that was laying around the house. I got that for another project. An offcut of wood, some basing materials. But again, you can do that with found stuff. You can make a base out of found bits from the garden, dry it out, mix it with glue. You'd be surprised. So yeah, thank you so much for stopping by and checking me and my channel out. I hope you've enjoyed this little journey of ours. He probably hasn't enjoyed this little journey of ours, but I will love him all the same. So like if you like what you see, comment if you've got something to say, and subscribe if you really like what you see and you want to see more and know when it's coming. Thank you all again so much. Take care and see you in the next one.